What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Big Time Football Talk. Today I want to break down the Arizona State Sun Devils 2020 preview. I think this is a program that when you think of teams that are on the rise, I think you have to take in consideration the Arizona State Sun Devils. They brought in Herm Edwards a couple years ago, in 2018, 7-6 the first year, and then 8-5 now in the second year. Edwards took over for Todd Graham, who came over from Pitt, who was there for a few seasons. Graham was okay. He wasn't bad. Led them to a couple 10-win seasons, but then saw the program wasn't really taking that next step, wasn't really staying competitive in the South. His last year was 6-7, then they ended up letting Todd Graham go. But Arizona State finished the year strong. They had a little streak where they lost 4 straight games, finished off defeating Florida State in the Sun Bowl, which was a big win for Herm Edwards and the program to try to continue the momentum heading into 2020. It all starts at the quarterback position. Jaden Daniels, star quarterback, was really burst onto the scene early on against Michigan State, had a good game there, led them back to a victory. Daniels, does a lot of good things, doesn't turn the ball over. They'd like to see him take more chances. Only had 2 interceptions, one coming on a Hail Mary. Very conservative with the ball. Very good scrambler, deceptively fast. They're going to need Daniels to step up and take his game to the next level next year and just keep making plays. But like what I've seen out of Daniels, he's a guy that they bring in the offensive coordinator for Boise State, Zach Hill. They're going to try to tailor the offense around star quarterback Jaden Daniels now and use his skill set to try to really get this offense rolling and get him some more protection with the offensive line that's kind of struggled a little bit at times. They lose Eno Benjamin at the running back position. Benjamin was one of the best running backs in the Pac-12, 1,083 yards, 10 touchdowns. He was a super tough runner. Got a lot of yards after the initial hit. Against Washington State, you saw he had some fantastic runs, just bouncing off players, just making guys miss. So they'll definitely miss what Eno Benjamin did for Arizona State. He was kind of like their go-to guy. They're going to need guys to step up at running back. They recruited Deonte Traynham. He was a guy that many thought would go to Ohio State. He was from Ohio. They went and plucked him right out of Ohio from the Akron area. Also, Daniel Nagata. He's a 4-star recruit they bring in at the running back position. So likely both those guys will get in the mix. Herm Edwards likes to play young guys early if they're talented enough. So we'll see what those gentlemen can do next year. And what's going to be tough is they lose Brandon Ayuk at the wide receiver position. Ayuk was the go-through guy, one of those slants, quick passes. Ayuk has some things to work on as far as I think he could get more separation, but just an explosive wide receiver, 81-inch wingspan, did so much for the Arizona State offense, kind of had the big play right when they needed it. That was the thing. Arizona State, they had kind of a lot of drives that went nowhere, some 3-and-outs, but right when it was kind of just timely plays, right when they need it, Ayuk would get a big play and create that momentum. And so this year, they have Frank Darby back, a guy that's dealt with some drops, but super talented. A guy that said he wants to be a first-round pick and have now 3 first-round picks in a row for Arizona State. That would include N'Keal Harry, Ayuk, and then Darby this year if it happens. So it could be. And, obviously Ayuk drafted first round to the 49ers. Darby, 616 yards, 8 touchdowns. Like I mentioned, Zach Hill comes over from Boise State as offensive coordinator. So be interesting to see what he does. Not really familiar with Zach Hill, but I know I've appreciated the Boise State offense, how the way it's kind of clicked, and coached under Brian Harsin, the head coach now at Boise State, who's done a lot of good things and a pretty good offensive mind in his own right, was the offensive coordinator under Chris Peterson before Chris Peterson exited a few years back to go to Washington. They signed some key transfers in the offensive line, Kellen Dish and Harry Hayes. So we'll try to improve the offensive line that struggled a little bit. They don't want Jaden Daniels running for his life. They want to give him some more time, some more protection. Hopefully he bulks up a little bit, gets in the weight room. But Jaden Daniels, did a good job of protecting himself. But having better offensive line play is just only going to improve his play, get him more time to get the ball downfield, something they didn't do a whole lot of. But on the defensive side of the ball, They do Jermaine Lowell on the defensive line. They led him with 6.5 sacks. They're going to shift to a 4-3 this year, bring in Marvin Lewis, former head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. So I didn't really like their 3-3-5. They were a hard-hitting, tough defense, but you struggle. I mean, that's a defense that's kind of hard to get pressure rushing three guys. So bringing in Marvin Lewis, shifting to that 4-3. So hopefully they've recruited well and continue to get more out of Lowell on the defensive line, who had 6.5 sacks. So you can generate some more pressure, and your defensive backs can make more plays in the secondary. Merlin Robertson and Darien Butler return at the linebacker position. Really like what I've seen out of Merlin Robertson. He was a lot better as a freshman, kind of took a little step back as a sophomore, but super talented kid. Darien Butler is a linebacker I like, super tough kid, all over the field. And they do have some experience in the secondary coming back. Guys like Amari Crosswell, Chase Lucas. There's guys, they're kind of they're younger. You saw their inexperience when I watched some of the Arizona State games, but they're guys that are talented. That hopefully they can really. I feel like one of them will bring their game to a next level next year and really break out. But it's interesting now. Arizona State was going to have to play at BYU. They're going to have to play some tough games early on. Now with the new schedule, I don't know who exactly, or they were going to have to play Utah early on. I'm not sure when that game's going to be. Obviously, the Pac-12 was another one, like the Big Ten, that announced they're going to play Big Ten, or they're going to play conference games only. So it'll be interesting for Arizona State. But now year 3 for Herm Edwards. This is the year where it's just like there's high expectations. This is a team that likely could challenge the South. You got USC there. Utah won it last year. Utah's losing a lot of guys on the defensive side, or on both sides of the ball. But they're a competitive program. Kyle Whittingham has a tough, competitive team. So, but the Pac-12, they do play Oregon this year at Oregon, which will be a tough game because Oregon took care of them, or they took care of Oregon last year in a close one. Upset Oregon, a team that really had their eyes on the college football playoff if they won that game. But yeah, I really like the recruiting has been great under Herm Edwards. They bring in the number 19 recruiting class, I believe, for 2020. I'm not really sure what it is the following year, but they're starting to land some of these really key guys and stealing guys from some of the premier programs, landing a lot of guys from the state of California that are super talented. So yeah, Herm Edwards, it was one of those hires that's just like, this is so crazy that maybe it'll work out. Edwards, a guy that didn't really have a lot of experience in college. He coached in the NFL for the Chiefs for a few years, but it was really like a spark, this program, So thank you guys so much for the support for the channel. If you guys want to support the channel, I'll link my Cash App below. So whatever you want to donate helps. So thanks for tuning in to Big Time Football Talk. Until next time, peace.